Where do we go after death? Who decides that? Our karma? What is karma? And is there any real existence after we are no more? We don't know, but surely the belief that we will be judged after our death motivates us to do good things on earth. We believe that we will have to pay for our deeds and our misdeeds beyond this realm on earth. And therefore, we push ourselves every day to do something good or the other. Hello and welcome to Indian Mythology in Modernity. And today we will speak about why Duryodhana went to heaven. Actually, this question is a lingering thought in Mahabharata. Why Duryodhana went to heaven? A character which has been perceived as the villain of the entire epic. How he attains the realms of heaven. Even many of us don't know that Duryodhana actually went to heaven with his kings and men. While we all know that Pandavas one by one had fallen before entering the realm of heaven. So why did this happen? Now, it's a mystery. What happens after our death? Who decides where we go? How anything is proven right or wrong? If it's on our deeds, then that has to be judged by someone, that whether those deeds are good or bad. So who decides that? And all these questions are actually intermingled in this single question, why Duryodhana went to heaven. Anyway, a very happy new year to all of you. And last year has been a really fruitful year in terms of YouTubing, because most of us were staying home. Even among the misfortunes and even among all the negativities that we had around us due to COVID-19, we did push ourselves further. We tried to do something good and we stayed together. We connected over YouTube, we connected over the rest of the social media, so that just to share a little bit of positivity with one another. So as for me, last year has been quite a productive year because I have done many new things. I have tried to do some good things as well. And in terms of my channel, we have discussed a lot of topics related to Ramayana and its women. So I thought probably this new year we will select some more topics from more interesting mythological stories and probably focus on a few topics on the Mahabharata, which is another huge epic in the Indian mythology. So that's why the first topic for this year that I have chosen for this video is why Duryodhana went to heaven. Now there are many theories beyond this. In fact, when Yudhishthira was taken to heaven, everybody knows that he was the last surviving person to walk into the heaven, who had not fallen. He walked with Dharma himself in form of a dog into the realm of heaven. And then he was transported by Narada to the actual realm where all the gods reside. And what he finds there, the first sight actually shocks Yudhishthira. He is astonished to find Duryodhana there, seated on a kingly designation with all the glory and pomp that nobody could have ever imagined could be assigned, to a person like Duryodhana. Let's read. Now, the story of Mahabharata is being narrated by Vaishampayana to Janmejaya. Janmejaya is actually one of the, he is the lineage of the Pandavas, as we know of. Like, he is the only remaining lineage after Parikshit. So Janmejaya is getting narrated the story of Mahabharata by Vaishampayana, and this is what is being narrated to him. in the description of Yudhishthira when he arrives in heaven. Mahabharata, Book 18, Section 1. Arrived at heaven, King Yudhishthira, the just, beheld Duryodhana endued with prosperity and seated on an excellent seat. He blazed with effulgence like the sun and wore all those signs of glory which belong to heroes, in the company of many deities and Satyas of righteous deeds. So we can see that even though we think Duryodhana did almost all the worst things in Mahabharata, he did attain heaven, and not only that, he was glorified with all the best of jewels in heaven, and he was surrounded by all the positive energies, the deities, the gods and their associates. And he had all the pleasure and the luxury even in heaven, which he could even think of. Yudhishthira wasn't really satisfied with this view that he was seeing in front of him. He could not find his brothers there. He could not find his wife Draupadi, whom he believed was a righteous woman with many qualities. He couldn't find his teachers there, Dronacharya. He couldn't find Karna there, whom he thought was a valorous fighter. He couldn't find his mother there. He couldn't find any of his friends there. But there was Duryodhana with all his mates seated in a glorified seat in heaven. So how did he react? Obviously, Yudhishthira was very angry. He shouted out in mesmerized anger. I use the term mesmerized because he was totally frenzied. He couldn't comprehend, he couldn't correlate Duryodhana's behavior with his position after death. So finally, how did Yudhishthira represent himself? Let's read. Yudhishthira loudly addressed his companions, saying, I do not desire to share regions of felicity with Duryodhana, who was stained by the cupidity and possessed light foresight. It was for him that our friends and kinsmen on earth were slaughtered. Draupadi was dragged into the midst of the assembly. If these eternal regions reserved for Duryodhana's unrighteous and sinful wight, destroyer of the world, I desire to see what regions have been attained by those high-souled heroes, my brothers, Karna, Kunti, Drishtadumna, Satyaki, and the sons of Radha. So basically, he was generally known as a man of composure while he was on earth. But now we find that every person is vulnerable to anger, every person is vulnerable to jealousy, and these are the qualities not actually restricted or limited to good or bad people. Actually, we all share these qualities, and which becomes a part of karma in our eventual life. Now, this is an important point here. We find Yudhishthira reacting in this way. A person who has always said that I love my brothers, be it the Pandavas or the Kauravas, I like them, I love them, I adore them all alike. But we find that it wasn't really true. When he finds that his own brothers, his wife, his teachers, his mother is not present in heaven, but he finds Duryodhana is in heaven, he is furious and he demands an answer. In fact, he rejects his position in heaven. He says that he will not take up a seat behind Duryodhana, he will not take up a seat behind this unrighteous man. He believes that Duryodhana is the most sinful thing that could have happened to earth, because so many people were slaughtered for him, because he fought for his kingdom, he fought for Kurukshetra, he fought for Hastinapur, and that's the reason why so many people were killed. And he couldn't forget that it was because of Duryodhana that Draupadi was humiliated and insulted. She was badly mistreated. He couldn't forget any of those, even after death. So we find that Yudhishthira is as common as we all are. And very naturally he behaves in a very dejecting manner, in the most resentful manner, when he finds that Duryodhana is enjoying the glory, the respect, the dignity of the heavenly abode. But the important thing is why this happened. If you and I have to think through the story of Mahabharata, what did Duryodhana do that he was sent to heaven and not hell? Now, even though he has been projected as an antagonist throughout the different interpretations of Mahabharata, but the story of Mahabharata have intricate details about the good characteristics of Duryodhana as well. He was a very loyal friend. He was a very trusting person. He always trusted on his close ones. He was a very loyal friend, as we have seen through his relationship with Karna. He actually unconditionally loved him and accepted him as his own friend until the end of day. Even after knowing that he was Kunti's son, he stayed by his decision to be with Karna. And he was a very trusting person. He never doubted his friend nor his close ones like his wife. He was a very, in that term, he was a very sorted person in his relationships. Thirdly, he actually valued merit. Like, he never believed in caste, upper caste, lower caste, but he actually valued people with their abilities and their merits, their intelligence, their valor, and their warriorship. And that's the reason why when people insulted Karna in front of the entire assembly, because he was of a low caste, he was not allowed to participate in any kind of warfare or sportsmanship. Because he was a low caste, he was always picked up and reminded that he was the son of a Sarathi. At that point of time, Duryodhana was the one who stood by him strongly and gave him the kingdom of Anga. And that is why Karna became the king of Anga. And this was a really generous gesture from Duryodhana towards Karna. How unconditional he was, how generous he was, is proven by the fact how he had treated Karna. He was also a rightful king, and he was a true Kshatriya. Yes, Duryodhana fought like a hero till the end, even though he knew that the result of the war is actually going to be unfavorable for him. It was kind of predicted that since Krishna is on the side of the Pandavas, they are going to win. And he knew this long before. And that's the reason why both Pandavas and Kauravas had gone to win the favor of Krishna. But since Krishna was their charioteer, the Pandavas' charioteer, Duryodhana was sure that they are going to lose, but he never withdrew from the battlefield. He never showed his back. He fought till the end. And even while he was dying, he did say with pride that, yes, I have fought like a warrior. I have died on this battleground while fighting like a true Kshatriya. And so I will be entering heaven. So Duryodhana was actually confident of his karma. And that's why he also proclaimed that he could go to heaven in spite of his wrong deeds. So these are some of the good qualities which were innate in Duryodhana, but he never got a chance to reflect them much through his regular behavior or through his actions against the Pandavas. Yes, actually that's right. His actions were more always as opposed or antagonized towards Pandavas, and that's why we always perceive Duryodhana as a very bad person. But no person is innately good or bad, and the good quality traits of Duryodhana actually prove that. So now that we have come through the various points of Duryodhana's positive traits, like his kindness, his generosity, his trustworthiness, his friendship, his ability to make strong bonds with people, and his uh, behavior as a true Kshatriya, his karma as a true Kshatriya was held up till the end. As we have discussed all these points, now we know that Duryodhana also had many merits. But yes, his downfall was caused by his pride, his, arrogance, his jealousy, and also because he was misled by many people. So that brought about his nemesis. Okay, so this is what we have been discussing about Duryodhana. Now let's find out what the gods respond to Yudhishthira when he asked them about Duryodhana being in heaven. Let's find out. Mahabharata Book 18, Section 2. Then Yudhishthira asked, "What is the act by doing which Dhritarashtra's son, King Suyodhana, with his sinful followers has become invested with such prosperity like that of Indra? And what is that act through the consequence of which these high-souled ones have fallen into the hell?" Because so there is a story behind this. Like, before Yudhishthira asks this question, basically he had also asked to see where his brothers were, where his friends were, where was Krishna, where were the sons of Radha. So at that point of time, Narada had taken him to view hell for a few minutes. Like, he was taken through the dark alleys, which was in complete darkness and foul smell. Yudhishthira could not hear anything, Yudhishthira could not see anything. And amidst that darkness came some random voices which he couldn't recognize. And then finally among them, someone called out, "I am Bhimasena." Someone called out, "I am Karna." And then Yudhishthira realized that, okay, his brothers and everybody else was actually there suffering in this hellish kind of a place which was so dark and dungeoned and filled with foul smell. And then he realized that, what, my brothers and every one of us, we have always believed that we are doing the right things and we have always tried to do good on earth. And now my brothers and my wife and my mother and everybody, Karna, they are all suffering in hell, and Duryodhana is in heaven. So basically he just feels very fuzzled and puzzled. He doesn't want to stay there. He cannot stand that foul smell. He cannot stand that sight. So he requests Narada to just transport him from there. And just at that point of time, the gods tell him that this entire vision of hell was an illusion. And he had to view hell for once at least, so he did so. And immediately he was taken back to heaven, where everything was calm, peaceful, bright, and glorious. So after he was brought back to heaven, this is what Yudhishthira asked, as we have read. What is that act by doing which Dhritarashtra's son, King Suyodhana, with his sinful followers has become invested with such prosperity, like that of Indra? I mean, what did Duryodhana do that he was brought to heaven with all his bad friends? And what did my brothers do, my wife, my brothers, what did they do so bad that they were just thrown into that dark jail with fire burning everywhere and foul smell and these things? Why they have to suffer over there? What is the worst did happen with them? Section 3. Then Shakra, the lord of the deities, addressed Yudhishthira and said, now after Yudhishthira was asking so many questions, basically the lords will have to answer his questions. So Shakra, the lord of the deities, answered Yudhishthira's question as to why Duryodhana was in heaven. Firstly, he did tell him that the place he was taken to, where he found his brothers and wives and his mother, was a vision of hell, an illusion, not an existing reality. So how does that come? Let's see. These illusions have ended. Hell, O sun, should without doubt be held by every king. This is a very important point which Shakra makes here. Shakra tells Yudhishthira that each one of us, every king, will have to face the hell once in life, once after death, I mean. Because in us, we all have good as well as bad qualities. So we all have to go to hell once. Of both good and bad, there is abundance. That means we all have enough good qualities as well as enough bad qualities to take us to hell. He who enjoys first the fruits of his good acts must afterwards endure in hell. He, on the other hand, who first endures hell must afterwards enjoy heaven. He whose sinful acts are many enjoys heaven first. It is for this, O king, that desirous of doing thee good, I caused thee to be sent for having a view of the hell. That means here Shakra, the lord of the deities, is indicating that Duryodhana, because he is enjoying the fruits of heaven first, might be sent to hell later and may have to endure there longer. But because the Pandavas have done good deeds in their life, they were sent to hell first for a few days, but probably the longer term of their life after death they will spend in heaven in glory and happiness. As of Yudhishthira, Shakra says that he was taken to view a sight of hell first because they wanted to do good to him. Thou hadst received Drona by pretense. Thou hadst deceived Drona by pretense in the matter of his son. Now, why did Yudhishthira, even after going to heaven, had to be taken to hell? Yes, because once in his life he had lied. Even though it wasn't technically a lie, I mean, Yudhishthira justified himself that it wasn't a lie. But when he addressed Dronacharya and said that his son was dead, yes, Ashwathama was dead. Ashwathama, he meant the elephant, but definitely he knew that Dronacharya is going to receive it as Ashwathama, his son. So in that way, he actually deceived Dronacharya in the battle of Kurukshetra. And that was his karma, Yudhishthira's karma, for which he had to pay the price of viewing the sight of hell once after he died. So basically, the Lords give an explanation that every one of us have good deeds and bad deeds in our lives. We have plenty of good traits as well as plenty of bad traits, which are potent enough to take us both to hell as well as heaven. So each one of us after death will have to get an experience of both places, the both realms. And that's an indication. There is no clear mention that yes, Duryodhana have to go to hell, but definitely through his explanation, Shakra clarifies that since Duryodhana was enjoying the fruits of heaven first, he will probably have to endure in hell for a longer time because his misdeeds are more than his good deeds. However, the reason for Duryodhana being in heaven is actually embedded in an earlier story in the initial phases of Mahabharata. As Duryodhana also confidently claims that he will be taken to heaven because he has died like a warrior on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. So why was he so sure that because he has died on a battlefield on Kurukshetra, he will be taken to heaven? How could he be so sure? Yes, because there is an earlier legend in Mahabharata which actually sanctifies and guarantees this thing, that anybody who dies on the land of Kurukshetra will be taken to heaven. or will achieve the abode of heaven. How did that happen? Well, we will discuss that in our next episode. Actually, that's a very interesting question which will be answered. Now, this question as to why Duryodhana went to heaven was recently discussed in the Netflix movie Ludo. And there, the mythological references have been given a very vivid and explicit interpretation. But the open-ended thing was left to us, yes. And we are here to definitely find an answer. Today we are about halfway into the journey of finding out why Duryodhana went to heaven. But in our next episode, we'll actually go into the backstory of what happened in the initial days of Mahabharata that ensured that Duryodhana will surely go to heaven. So till then, stay safe, stay healthy, and you have to keep reading so that you find your own answers before me. So if you have liked the content of today's video, please like, share and subscribe to my channel. The links to the readings of today are given in the description box below. And the next day when we come back with the same question, I definitely want some responses from you in the comment section as to what you have found on this question, which was asked in Ludo very recently, and now that we are discussing on it, why Duryodhana went to heaven. So till next time, happy reading and take care. Bye-bye.